First, I want to talk about the cover story. I don't really talk about the cover pages that often, but when we get a cover story, I think it's always worth talking about because they give us a bit of the story, like some of the stuff we don't see in the chapters or anime. You know, so they give us some important stuff in the cover story. This story, this cover story is pretty much we see Germa 66 basically leaving Whole Cake Island after, so this is kind of a flashback cover story. We see Germa 66 escaping from Whole Cake Island. Now, like I said in the beginning of the discussion, I'm really hoping that this is a Germa 66 centric cover story. Like see where they're going next. Like I want to know where they're going next. I hope this ain't really focused on the just everybody escaping from Whole Cake Island. I want this to be about Germa personally. Me personally. Now if it give us stuff about the fishermen escaping as well, we could possibly get something based off of like what happened with Jinbei and what happened to Jinbei's crew, right? Because a lot of people have their theories about Jinbei's crew. Jinbei, when he came back, he was like, "Okay, we escaped, had a party. I'm sorry, I had to tend to injuries or whatever, and had to say my goodbyes, But a lot of people think that it could have been almost something like a tragedy. Maybe the fisherman could have died or something, or got killed off by the crew, and Jinbei could have been one. He could have been the only, or maybe one of the only survivors. We don't know. So if we get some of that, then I'm kind of cool. But I do hope we get more of Germa. I do hope we get more of Germa, and that kind of leads me to ask, what what is next for Germa? What is next for Germa 66? Will they return in the future? Possibly as Straw Hat allies. I kind of think they will. I think in Whole Cake Island, there's been seeds planted to make Germa somewhat redeemable. Like sure, they still don't have that great relationship with Sanji, but we see how Sanji saved them, and then they end up giving Sanji the raid suit. They help Sanji and Luffy escape. Like we see Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji all help Sanji escape with Luffy after Luffy got out of the mirror world. And then they kind of held off some of the Big Mom pirates. So it seemed like they did kind of turn the page to where they're more accepting of Sanji, and I believe because I kind of think in Wano it's been kind of shown that there is a storyline with Sanji accepting his family. You know, right now he still doesn't accept, and that's why he destroyed the raid suit. He didn't want to be anything like them. He didn't want to wear the raid suit. He was angry that his body is changing to be more like his family. So I think Oda will have to come to a point where Sanji's going to have to somewhat accept this family. Like there has to be a resolution between Sanji and the Vinsmokes. Like that's one thing I'm believing, and I think upon that resolution, that will be a great ally for the Straw Hats. Having Germa 66, their army, the technology all on the Straw Hat side, that could be a very game changing ally for the Straw Hats. Especially since we know we're going to have like Vegapunk and SSG, right? So they might need some technology to counter the SSG. I mean, they might not need it, but having good technology too that's created to counter the SSG could be very helpful, and the pacifist and things like that. Plus just having strong guys like Ichiji, Niji, Yonji, and Reiju. Reiju. having them as allies, I think, would definitely be of a benefit to the Straw Hats. And another thing that I kind of said before, maybe Frankie can't rebuild. Like I said, maybe Frankie could rebuild the raid suit that Sanji destroyed. Maybe he could. I don't know, but maybe he can't. Maybe because Germa 66 technology, you know, maybe he doesn't have the capabilities. I don't know. I would think Frankie does, but I would also think Frankie might need the blueprints or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause he can't really create the raid suit if he doesn't have nothing to reference the raid suit from. Like I don't think Sanji ever let Frankie uh study the raid suit. You know, and if Frankie doesn't have the data on the raid suit and the blueprints and how if he couldn't sit there and study the raid suit, I don't know if Frankie could rebuild it. You know, so we might need Judge to rebuild it, or Judges, or the Vent Smoke technology at least. So they could possibly return and create a new improved raid suit that maybe if, let's say, the raid suit do have some side effects that aren't necessarily beneficial to who Sanji is, maybe he could create a raid suit that will be beneficial to Sanji, that won't change his personality or anything. So I do kind of hope we get more of the Vent Smokes in German 66. Maybe we'll see him in this big war. I don't know. Maybe we'll see him something. Maybe the next arc. But I do hope we get German 66 for the sake of not only bringing that raid suit, but maybe have some resolution to the conflict between Sanji and Judge. You know what I mean?